You know, everyone talks about agriculture being the engine of India, but right now, that engine is going through a massive, massive change. So, in this explainer, we're going to break down just how huge of a role agriculture plays in India, and then explore this really important shift towards a more sustainable future. All right, let's get into it. You've probably heard this phrase a million times, right? But it's so much more than just a line in a textbook. It's the absolute truth that holds up India's entire economy, its society, its industries. And as you're about to see, this idea, it's the starting point for, well, everything. So, to really get what's at stake with all these changes, we first need to understand the sheer scale we're talking about. Let's start by establishing why agriculture isn't just another sector, it's the foundational pillar of India's economy. Okay, let's start with people. Check this out. Back in 2017-18, a staggering 44% of the entire Indian workforce depended on agriculture for their living. I mean, just let that sink in for a second. That's nearly half the working population of the country. It is, by far, the main source of jobs for millions and millions of people. And what about its slice of the economic pie? Well, even with all the incredible growth in tech and services, agriculture still kicked in a massive 15% of India's gross value added in 2018-19. That's basically a measure of everything the country produces. It just goes to show you how much economic muscle this sector really has. And its impact just ripples out everywhere. See, agriculture isn't just about growing food. It's feeding raw materials like cotton into our industries. It's creating a huge market for industrial stuff like tractors. It's bringing in foreign money through exports. And it even fuels the transport sector. At the end of the day, any kind of development in India is completely tied to having a healthy, thriving agricultural sector. Now, all that success, a lot of it driven by the Green Revolution, was built using modern farming methods. But as we've pushed harder and harder for bigger yields to feed a growing nation, a really tough question has started to pop up. What's been the hidden price of all that progress? And that question, well, it brings us to the core dilemma. Which brings us right here, to the pivot. In this section, we're going to explore the real tension between the very methods that made Indian agriculture so incredibly productive and the long-term consequences they've had for the environment and, for all of us. So this slide really lays out the two competing ideas. On one side, you have conventional or modern farming. That's all about high inputs, right? Chemical fertilizers, pesticides, specially designed seeds. Then on the other side, you've got the organic approach, which is all about working with nature, using its own cycles and processes to get the job done. So here's the catch. The success of conventional farming has come at a pretty steep price. All those chemicals have led to some serious environmental damage, leaving our soil and water contaminated. This isn't just a threat to long-term sustainability. It's got people asking some really important questions about the safety of the food that ends up on our plates. Now, when you're facing challenges like these, people naturally start looking for a different way forward. And that brings us to our next section, where we're going to define what organic farming really means and how it might just be the solution to this whole modern dilemma. The most important word on this slide is holistic. You see, organic farming isn't just about what you don't do, like not using chemical pesticides. It's a whole system, a complete approach designed to build and maintain healthy living soil. It's about looking at the farm as one big ecosystem and managing it for the long haul in a way that's good for the planet. So how does that actually work? Well, instead of pouring on chemicals, it uses really smart techniques. You've got crop rotation, which naturally puts nutrients back into the soil. You use things like green manure and compost to build up fertility. For pests, you use their natural predators to keep them in check. And all the farm waste gets recycled and turned back into a valuable resource. It's a really elegant, self-sustaining cycle. Okay, so what actually happens when farms decide to make this switch? In our last section here, we're going to look at the payoff. All the awesome benefits that come from taking this organic path for the farmer, for us as consumers, and for the country as a whole. First things first, let's talk money. This chart makes it pretty clear. Conventional farming means you're constantly buying expensive seeds, fertilizers, and pesticides. But organic farming, it relies on local, low-cost stuff like compost that you can often make yourself. This makes it so much more affordable and within reach, especially for smaller farmers. But the benefits go way, way beyond just the cost savings. We're talking about a protected environment and cleaner water for everyone. Healthier, tastier food that's free from all those chemical residues. The soil itself actually gets better and more fertile over time. And hey, because it tends to require more hands-on work, it can actually create more jobs in rural areas. I mean, it's really a win-win-win. So we end on this big question. We've seen that agriculture is, without a doubt, the backbone of India. But maybe, just maybe, to keep that backbone strong for the future, the answer isn't more chemicals or more intense methods. Maybe the real innovation lies in going back to a system that works with nature, not against it. Can these old ways actually be the key to building India's future? It's definitely something to think about.